Great communication isn't built in the middle of conflict. It's built before the conflict ever even happens, right? So you don't wait until things get hard to learn how to talk better and work through things. You train for it like anything else. Well, anything that you want to actually be good at, right? Something you actually want to win at or be really effective at accomplishing your goal, you prepare ahead of time, right? Before you're already in the middle of the smoke, if you will, or the middle of the dance or showing up to the game, but you never practiced beforehand. You've got to build the emotional trust, rhythm, and clarity that makes the hard conversations doable. So to make it through the most challenging conflict you'll face in your relationship, you need to build the emotional trust, rhythm, and clarity beforehand, right? That makes the hard conversations much more doable. So I'm gonna give you the 3 stages a couple needs in order to cultivate and build a communication foundation that can make it through anything. Stage 1 is emotional safety training. We do not punish vulnerability here. If anything, we honor it. Because if your partner can't bring you a hard truth without fear of judgment or things blowing up or you shutting down, then you've already lost communication before you've even begun. You have to create an environment where it's safe to say the uncomfortable things, because that's the stuff that usually moves mountains in a relationship, the uncomfortable stuff that doesn't feel good to talk about. And let's be fair, right? The reason why it's uncomfortable to talk about those things is usually because one or both people in the equation cares a lot about what the other person thinks, because that's their partner. So how they feel, what they believe, and their perspective of them matters a lot more than almost anyone else around them, right? Who you lay next to every night has way more weight on, mattering to you what that person thinks than just someone random. So whenever you have something that's difficult to say to your partner that they may not be happy to hear, or they may feel like they're the problem because you said it or something like that, you can become a lot more hesitant or, reconsider relaying that information for fear of how it may go, how it may hurt them, or how they may look at you, or the peace you may lose by doing it. Right. And that's because you both care enough. Either you're the one caring to not want to hurt your partner's feelings, or you're the partner caring enough to where you would be upset if your partner felt like you were letting them down, because no one wants to be the problem in your relationship equation. So you have to create that safe space. It's non-negotiable if you want your communication foundation to be built on something healthy that can work through anything. Right. But not just by saying, you can talk to me, right? Saying that statement to your partner, but it's more so in how you respond when they finally do. See, people say, to the cows come home, right? Oh yeah, you can say, my partner, you can talk to me about anything. You can come to me with anything. But whenever it's game time and they do that, and it's a really poor experience, they get a bad result from doing it, it says way more to them than you saying that they can talk to you, right? Because it's easy to say that when you're not in a triggered space. But whenever the emotions are running high and you're really frustrated, angry, offended, whatever, by whatever is coming out of your partner's mouth, that's when it matters most that you reassure them that, hey, when I told you can come bring me anything, it's not going to come with a painful experience for you to do so. So that means validate their discomfort, right? Don't rush to just fix it and fix things. Give them a chance to just speak and talk and express. Most of someone feeling heard is feeling like they got a chance to just get it out and really be understood because they got to say all the things that they needed to say, right? And last but definitely not least, probably most importantly, don't turn their honesty into guilt. Don't make it a bad or a negative experience. Don't make them feel bad for telling you their truth. And when you're able to do these 3 things for your partner, right, whenever the shoe's on their foot of coming to you about something, then this creates the emotional space where connection can live, even when the conversations get heavy. Second stage, emotional checkpointing. We pause before we pour. Most communication goes wrong because people wait until they're overwhelmed to talk. But by then, it's too late. And it comes out sideways. And the other person, is feeling triggered because they're like, oh, you got me messed up. because the way it was delivered and maybe the word choices and usage mixed with the high emotions and everything else made it come out hostile or attacky or just extremely defensive or just, explosive instead of calm, cool, collected, right? Instead of refined, instead of with clarity, instead of constructive versus attacking and destructive. You have to set intentional check-in rhythms, asking things like, how are we lately? Or what's felt unspoken between us this week that needs to be addressed? Or is there anything you've been holding in that needs to come out? And it's not about policing your relationship at all. It's about preventative connection, catching small disconnections to prevent big distance that comes as a byproduct of the little disconnections that start to, ripple effect and turn into large, massive ones. See, that's usually the point where most couples try to start working through the issues after they're in the middle of the catastrophe, after the, emotional connection has already been torn down and they feel less connected to each other and they're trying to, rebuild the connection because their memory remembers that they love this person and there's a lot of history there that they're in love with. And at that point, they're more in love with the history of the things they've shared with their partner versus their current state of where they are. So it makes it so much harder to do the work or do the things to reestablish connection because they're trying to establish it off of what was. And what was is keeping them there to hang on, but it's not inspiring enough in the here and the now to generate new energy out of them, to inspire new energy and new life into them wanting to try. But whenever you have regular maintenance to connect and stay connected and dialed in to address little small things you see budding up like weeds and you pull them out, you get to repair smaller holes that keeps your connection stronger while you're still more in an actively inspired state to want to do that before you get to an emotionally drained place to where the last person you want to talk through things with is the one person that actually will help you bring this all full circle to being back in harmony and happy together, which is with your partner. And the third stage, story ownership, which is equating to let's talk about what I made it mean. See, in every conversation, there's the event that happened, and then there's what each person thinks or the story they tell themselves about that event, right? See, and that's where most miscommunication is birthed in a relationship. That's where it's born because it's not the thing that happened. It's what each person decided that event meant to them. Because we give the meaning to the experiences we have off of our perspective. And that perspective is usually coming from a byproduct of our life experiences and the way it's cultivated the way we think. And so therefore, the way you think may perceive a situation differently than I do. But it's important to be able to recognize that because when you can own that part, at least you can also own that maybe I came to a conclusion that's different than what their intention was. And that's where the conversation in the middle is to help you find clarity on that and be able to land the plane more effectively and efficiently. Versus a lot of people take their perspective of the situation, their story that they tell themselves, and they just run with that blindly no matter what the other party may say. And that's how they come into the conversation with an accusatory, attacking type of energy instead of a curiosity, genuine, pursuit to understand energy, right? It's the difference between, hey, I give you the benefit of the doubt because I know you're here because you love me and you're a good person just like I am. I want to understand versus I'm coming in to catch you and prove my point so I can show you where you did do this and you are wrong and you are the bad person, all the things that happens. This is why it's dangerous to just go off of and be so hardened in on what your belief is from your respective view. If you can say you genuinely have someone that you feel loves you on the other side of that equation, right? Because if that conclusion you come to is a really negative one about your partner, just right there, something's amiss. It's either you're with someone that you feel is worth loving and is a good person enough that you want to be with or not, right? Make your choice. But when you don't let yourself slip into just getting so anchored into whatever the story you're telling yourself is, at least without articulating it to your partner so they can understand your perspective and you don't come in guns blazing, right? If you can come in and be more curious, you give yourself a chance to bridge that gap in a more healthy, productive way. So this means teaching each other to lead with, here's what I felt. Here's the meaning I gave it. Here's what I need for clarity. Notice those big I statement pieces in there is what instantly takes it off of, hey, I'm coming to you and saying, you did this, you did that, and this is exactly what your intention was. And, you're horrible, you're horrible. That's what the message that your partner hears when you're putting the whole use at them and saying, this is what it was. Because now you're also speaking, you're pushing your perspective as fact by just saying, hey, you did, and this is what your goal was, and this is what you caused me, and all these other things. In their world, if they weren't trying to do that, they feel like you're trying to tell them that they did something that they would never do, because it's not about what happened, it's about what it meant to both of you. That's why the I statements are so important. The I felt, and here's what the meaning I gave it. It meant this to me, so here's what I need for clarity. You're helping your partner understand when you're doing that, what you are needing from them to get on the same page with them, versus coming in and telling them how they were wrong and that they have to defend their character before they can get to a resolution with you. That's a much harder place to operate from. And it takes it off of someone being the problem versus here's what is the problem for me. This event, this thing that happened in this situation was a problem for me personally, for the way I operate, not a generalized statement that's spoken as if it should be rule for everyone. Because if your partner doesn't agree, then now they're going to feel like their belief and what they believe in is wrong and yours has to be right, which means they lose, you win, which means you both lose. And when you do this effectively, it removes the blame and it centers the shared truth over competing realities where you're fighting to prove your perspective is the more correct one, right? And that winds up making the conversation about understanding, actual understanding, not winning. Because again, if you are in a conversation with your partner to win, when you win, they feel like they lost. And I've never seen where I won and my partner lost and we won collectively. I still lost because, yes, maybe I've won that battle, right? But the war wise, I lost along with my partner because I want to be with a happy partner that feels good as well. They're not going to walk away feeling good if they lost, right? They're going to feel like they took the L in the situation, which when we say lost, what does that really mean? That means there's emotional security, safety, and reassurance not there because they lost, or maybe they feel bad about themselves now because they lost, right? It's not cultivating a partner that you want to be with and that you'll be happy to say that you stand next to. And you can't really feel like you're pouring into them if they feel torn down for you to be right. So you tell me, towards your goals and your relationship and the love you want to have, the loving relationship you want to have, did you actually win if you won the battle? I'd say not. So healthy communication is never built during the breakdown. It's built in how you show up while things are still working. So train before the storm and build safety when it's still quiet. That way, when it gets hard, you'll both be able to hold the mic and each other. If you need help learning the skill sets and the tools to build that foundation for effective communication to work through anything with your partner, right? So that you can prepare yourself before you're in the issues to navigate through any issues, then email or DM me the word coaching and we will get to work, only if you're truly ready to put the work in actual sessions. But if you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, you don't have the time, space, and maybe even the resources, I completely get it. Then email or DM me the word transformation, and I'll send the links to my transformation courses, more namely my relationship renewal course, which will teach you the same thing I teach my clients, either individuals or couples, at your own pace, on your own time, at a resource level more fit for where you are. But in any case, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.